Welcome to the first semifinals, the first best of 5 of the day. We're on Paladino Terminal, spawning to the top left-hand corner in orange, playing Protoss for Rival Gaming and the US. It's Koshkii. And spawning to the bottom right in teal, playing for Hugakati Team and Russia. It's Sunokasuri. Koshkii already sending out a very early probe here, probe after pylon, and is already starting to wall off the area into her natural base. It was Suno's map pick, so maybe Suno actually had some special tactic in mind on this map. So Koshkii already checking out, sees that there's no pool whatsoever. Hatchery has already been planted. The maps this map has a very short rush distance, so of course I think it's very wise of Koshkii to send out a probe in order to scout her opponent as soon as possible. We also know that Sunokasuri is kinda known for her elegant and a little bit of cheesy tactics sometimes. She's also capable of playing a long macro game as well, but yeah, she's a very aggressive Zerg, so you always have to be aware of everything. So Koshkii not taking any chances here, sending out a very early probe in order to see what her opponent is up to, while she's taking a base of her own after realizing that no pool had been planted down at the point in time when she was scouting it, and is now retreating towards her own base. Suno's Overlord will now reach at the entrance of, or one of the entrances, because there's another one over here, but will reach one entrance towards Koshkii's main. We'll see that there's a complete wall off already. Of course, you can easily do that because you still have that path that leads outwards of your base. So in the meantime, we have Koshkii setting the second assimilator, getting a pylon inside her own base, already getting the cybernetics core. Of course, everyone's just thinking about Koshkii's most important weapon against a Zerg player, which is some sort of Warp Prism Immortal push, be it with Speedlots, be it with Glaive Adepts. That's usually what Koshkii likes to do, some sort of pressure or maybe even game-ending push off of 2 bases. That's what Koshkii is known for, and Sunokasuri knows that her opponent is known for it. She almost beat her last time around when these two were facing each other. Suno will now lose her Overlord here. Koshkii really wanting to get rid of that pesky Overlord, really wants to deny vision of anything she's doing right now, and has now planted down a Stargate, in fact, which is really interesting because that's something we don't see out of her very often. Soon will nevertheless scout it anyway, so we'll now know that a Stargate is already in place, and she will probably expect some sort of Oracle play right behind it, and I think Oracle is the most likely choice for now, but eventually Koshkii will transition into something else, I guess. I don't think she will go straight into Sky Toss, that's not what she usually does. But you never know, maybe that's why she wants to do it this time around, just to surprise her opponent with something she's not expecting. There's the Oracle incoming, but Suno as well is producing Lings like crazy, and she already has an Evolution Chamber out, so maybe she just wants to drop somewhere, but unfortunately for her, she's lost her only Overlord, so I think drop play is out of the question for now, because she just doesn't have an Overlord in position. In the meantime, Koshkii is just planting down a pylon behind this curtain here in order to get vision of this little part of her main base. So there we have it. Okay, never mind, she actually has a lot of dropper lords already available, and she also has the speed upgrade for the overlords, so that's what she's going for. It's actually a tactic that helped her against Koshkii a lot. I think she actually won both maps in their first engagement, but at the same time the Oracle is flying right into the base. There's a Spore Crawl in place, so Koshkii will probably not be able to deal that much damage, actually only getting a second kill as well. But the Overlords are getting closer into her base. There's only one Adept ready in order to keep her from getting inside her main base. There are no Stalkers whatsoever, but there will be a Void Ray available in just a few seconds. But too late for the Overlords to stop them. So now the unload is going to happen. We have a lot of Lings plus Queens outside. So even if the Void Ray comes out, the Queens will just help out tremendously. 3 queens will be more than enough to deal with the Mothership Core, the Warp Prism, and the Void Ray as well. Koshkii has to evacuate all of her drones out of her main base for now. Has to be careful not to lose the game right at that point in time. She has no transfuses available, unfortunately, here. And we have 2 air units just raining down some damage on these queens, but it seems that both queens just will be barely capable of taking down all of these air forces here. Now the Zerglings just trying to destroy as many drones and as many buildings as they can. More and more units just streaming in from the right-hand side, breaking the wall of Koshkii here, and it seems as if Sunokasuri is just overwhelming her opponent with links. Look at the supplies, as Todd would say, 60 to 22 at some point in time. Finally a photon overcharge goes down and Koshkii manages to get her Adept Glaives done, but I don't think that it actually really matters, especially since Suno just manages to take out the only Artosis pylon that was powering these gateways. GG, well played, and Sunokasuri takes the first map. We're back on Newkirk Precinct, spawning to the bottom left-hand side. In teal, we have Sunokasuri, leading 1-0, against her opponent, spawning to the right-hand side. In orange, it's Koshkii. So, Koshkii once more, starting with a pylon on low ground, plans to get an early expand here, even after Sunokasuri just used a very naughty cheese against her, dropping a lot of links into her base very early on, while Koshkii just had no defenses prepared whatsoever that early in time. So she just had to give it up against the swarm of links that Sunokasuri brought to her. Suno starting with the hatchery first once more, but of course the same problem could occur to her this time as well, because the air route is actually pretty short. So I think Koshkii has to make double certain, or double sure, has to be double assured, whatever. She has to be very certain that her opponent will not, in fact, drop her once more. Extractor is done, spawning pool in the making, typical Zerg opening. Nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen, nothing to see. Overlords on the move, Sunokasuri just wants to see whether her opponent has already closed off the entrance towards her natural base, and of course the second Overlord just moving right towards the main base in order to see what tech is going down. But yeah, since, as we've already talked about it, Koshkii's strongest weapon seems to be some sort of immortal-based warp prism push, Sunokasuri just which is actually very difficult to stop even if you know that it's coming. Sunokasuri obviously decided that she just doesn't want to go up against that shit. So she just decided to stop her opponent from doing it by breaking her neck first, which she just successfully did. But will she be able to do it again, or will Koshkii just adjust her play a little bit in order to be prepared against these kind of Overlord drops? I mean, we still have a lot of surface area to cover where Sunokasuri could drop in either via the air route or even just elevatoring her links into the main base with the help of Overlords that are already there. So we will see what Sunokasuri actually is planning to do on this map. Last time both players faced off on this map, actually Koshkii, or actually Sunokasuri let her opponent go for that Immortal Warp Prism based push with either Speedlots or Adepts. But her macro just was superior on this map and she just managed to crush her opponent with overwhelming numbers. Maybe that's what she wants to do this time around again. Metabolic Boost is almost done. We have no evolution chamber yet, so it seems, but instead we have a third base, so it seems as if Suno this time around just wants to play a straight up game, if you want to say so. So yeah, everything is going to be set up for everything, and wow, just Suno gets the perfect scout here. Seems as if the Adept was in place, but there was just too much space here between the Adept and the building, for a Ling to get through. Yeah, she sees the robotics, she sees the Dark Shrine, she just absolutely knows what's up here. Hasn't seen the additional gateways yet, but that's just a little bit too early because the additional gateways will just be planted down a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, she has already seen all the pieces, so I think she knows what she's going to go up against. So, Roach Warren already in the making, a Spore Crawler just in case, and also can be pretty helpful against a Warp Prism if it wants to get inside here as well, maybe doing some harassment while the main attack is going on, which is probably not the case because you just want to have the Warp Prism close by. But a second Warp Prism, of course, could also just fly in order to deal some more harassment damage in the main base. So, Dark Shrine is done, and it seems as if Koshkii just wants to either get in some DTs in order to deal some damage directly, or she will just warp in some DTs and then warp them into Archons in order to deal more damage that doesn't need her opponent to not have detection. So Koshkii just flying forward. Suno has a lot of Overlords in place, unfortunately not close enough to that edge so that she will be able to see the Warp Prism. So far it's only 2 Dark Templars. Let's see if she loads them in unmorphed or unjoined or whatever we want to say against that. Unarcant. But there it is. Fusion! And there it goes. So, Immortals being produced in the meantime, while we also get the speed for the Zealots. But like I said, Sunokasuri has spotted all the necessary bits. She knows what she's up against. So the only thing she now has to do is get up to her desired composition and overwhelm her with with a swarm. So there they are, 2 Archons now flying into the main base. Suno spots it right now with the help of these Overlords, so she should be able to just react in time, get her Roaches in position in order to deal with these Archons, so that these Archons won't be able to deal that tremendous amount of damage. But of course it's always annoying with the Warp Prism flying around, because Koshkii can just always load in, unload, maybe deal some more damage before the Archons eventually lose their shields, which takes quite some time. And of course right now Koshkii can just fly around. There's not much anti-air out for Suno here, so she just has to leave some Roaches back inside her main base, some Roaches close to her third base, so that she won't lose anything more to this little harassment of Koshkii. Koshkii in the meantime just making more Archons, waiting for the upgrades to finish, waiting for the last 3 gateways to finish, and then her massive push is going to hit her opponent. Thus far, Koshkii, Suno doesn't really know where the Warp Prism is, sees or will see the Dark Templars right now. She has a Spore Crawler in place, so nothing that can really happen to her. That's quite a risky move out here, I feel. Sunokasuri just pushing the front, it seems, with a few Roaches here. Just maybe wants to intercept the units before they can actually reach the front here. I mean, she knows that the Warp Prism is out, and it seems as if Koshkii is just in a full-out retreat here. Doesn't feel as if she can hold this little push here with only the units that she has right now, so everything's just coming back. Maybe she will even be able to just get some units over here. Whoa, the Archons now out in the open. Maybe Koshkii will even lose both of the Archons. Oh, just barely saving one of them with a Warp Prism here. So nicely done. Well, without Ravages, I feel that Suno won't really be able to push that far, but I think that's not really what she wants here. I don't really think she wants to pressure through completely right now. I think for now she only wants to buy herself a little bit more time until she's managed to get even more units out, rallying across the map, and then eventually breaking her opponent. But it's probably going to be quite hard here. Quite difficult to finally get through. Photon Overcharge gets fired up. Well, I mean, of course, Koshkii also has to be careful that she doesn't lose any important tech buildings, because a lot of important tech buildings are part of a wall, but right now the Immortals firing from behind the wall, the Ravagers just not really hitting with the Corrosive Biles. It seems as if Suno just has to retreat for now. Koshkii still being soft contained here with only 84 supply right now. Suno finds the third base of Koshkii, might even be able to take it out. Actually, Koshkii cannot really do anything against it, so Suno just pushing forward will now deal guaranteed damage, while Koshkii just has to let that base die in order to get more units out. But of course she's just lost her warp gates here due to the loss of a pylon that was powering those. So in the meantime we have a Hydralisk then going down, so Suno eventually just wants to go into Roach Hydra, maybe even Lurker tech if need be, but by now she's just doing the right thing here against her opponent, just containing her, just keeping her from playing out her strength, which is these sharp timing pushes that Suno just managed to not let her opponent do it. So Archon was just blocking the way outwards the base, couldn't really get back through that pylon gap here. So now everything just dies. I mean, more and more roaches streaming across the map. We also have some links incoming as well. Koshkii by now is even forced to warp in some zealots here, but the zealots just won't stay for long, won't even really deal that much damage. The most important damage dealers would be the Immortals, and Koshkii realizes that she doesn't really stand a chance against these forces. Suno takes the second map as well. Cactus Valley is our third map of this best of 5, spawning to the top left-hand corner in teal. We have our Zerg player Sunokasuri, and to the top right, in orange, our Protoss player Koshkii. Thus far, the events of this best of 5 have been kinda surprising. Maybe not to everyone who's watching, but Sunokasuri leading 2-0 against the #1 ranked player of the season is, I think, kind of a upset already in the semi-finals. Let's see if Koshkii can come back and do the reverse swipe, or if Suno will actually just close off the series with this map. She's beaten Piscalida on it with pure Hydra. Well, maybe not pure Hydra, but a lot of Hydras. But Koshkii's style is a very different one from that of Piscalida's, so I don't think that Suno will do the same thing against her this time around. So we have the standard opening for Suno, nothing all too uncommon. We also have the same standard opening for Koshkii. Choosing a map with a very small entrance into her natural base that she can easily wall off with 2 buildings. But of course, again, she has to be aware of potential Overlord drops. There's a lot of space she needs to cover, where an Overlord could just drop links even unseen to her opponent, which would just wreck her, so she really has to be careful. Koshkii just, maybe even positioning something, but just wants to check for an early third base, so she just puts that probe on patrol move in order to constantly check for the potential third, be it onto the left side or to the right side towards her opponent, which is probably not what Suno is going to do. If she really wants to go into an early third, she will probably take this one after realizing where her opponent was coming from. She's probably even expecting her opponent to have come from either here or either there, since she's seen the early probe. And if her opponent had spawned cross position, that probe wouldn't have arrived inside her own main base that early on. So she probably assumes already where her opponent must be, but will now confirm with the help of that Overlord. So, in the meantime, we have the first few Zerglings out that will just kill this probe. In the meantime, we have another Stargate build incoming from Koshkii. Quite an interesting move here, so let's see if this is going to work better or not. And it's probably going to be Oracles once more, maybe Phoenixes. So let's see, speed will be done in just a few seconds. We don't have an evolution chamber, so probably no drop play. Unless she just starts building one in a few seconds here. So Warp Gate is almost done. Stargate will finish in just a few seconds, and then we will see what it's going to be. It's going to be an Oracle indeed. And a third base once more, so it seems as if Sunokasuri just wants to do the same thing, or kind of the same thing, as she did in Game 2. Playing a macro game, just massing up a few drones, and then getting a big enough army to push her opponent back into her natural base before she can even exploit the strength of her own race and her own builds. So Void Ray just follow up right behind it. So let's see if this Oracle will be able to deal some damage to Suno. She hasn't planted down a Spore Crawler yet, so either she's forgotten about it or she's just wrong with her timings. She hasn't forgotten about it. It seems as if she's just a little bit wrong on the timings, or she's just seen the Oracle with the Overlord here. So this time around, this Oracle should actually be able to deal quite some damage here, getting at least 5 drone kills. Whoa, only 4! Whoa! Koshkii not paying attention whatsoever to that poor Oracle here, and the 2 Queens actually take it down before it can even get a 5th or 6th worker kill. So only 4 is kinda okayish, considering the situation that Sunokasuri was in just a few seconds ago. That could have been way worse, but it actually worked out quite nicely for her. So the Oracle didn't really deal that much damage, only killing 4 drones she can easily replace, no problem here. There's already 7 more in the making, and actually no pressure that Koshkii can put onto her opponent anymore whatsoever. I think she doesn't really want to reveal that Void Ray yet and doesn't really want to attack with it right now. I think she probably just wants to get a few more Void Rays out and then finally prepare push on 3 bases this time around. So let's see if Koshkii will actually be able even to secure these 3 bases without any problems. I mean, the Overlord has seen it for quite some time, will now die to that Void Ray here. In the meantime, we actually have the Hydralisk then, so it seems as if Suno really does want to go into mass Hydras on this map, especially after realizing that her opponent is going for some sort of air build. We have another Stargate here, so it seems as if Koshkii this time around really wants to go into Sky Toss. And yeah, I think that Suno should actually be able to just hit her opponent before Koshkii will be able to actually get the greater amount of carriers together. So let's see if this is going to work or not. Even producing a Baneling Nest, so maybe she just wants to break through some of these buildings in order to get right into the natural base, and then maybe deal the rest of the damage with just mass Hydras. So I think a Hydra timing can really be critical for Koshkii. I mean, she doesn't have that much on the ground. She has some Adepts, which are good against light units, but she doesn't have enough right now. There's the Fleet Beacon incoming. So like I said before, we will indeed see carriers, or maybe not. It depends on how fast Suno is going to hit her opponent while taking a 4th base right behind it. Suno knows that she will need quite some resources in order to pull off that style, but I think she's really desperate not letting her opponent get to the desired carrier-heavy army. I mean, as long as the opponent only has like 2 to 3 carriers, it's still kind of something you can deal with just ground units alone. But once the carriers hit like the 4, 5, 6 carrier mark, it becomes vastly more problematic to deal with this kind of army for a Zerg player right now. So let's see what she really wants to do. At least Koshkii managed to just tag the army with another Oracle here, so she knows at least what the composition is that Sunokasuri is opting to go for. There's just another Oracle Revelation spell, so she sees all of the army right now and can always prepare for everything, just warping in more Adepts that are supposed to help her against the Hydras. So, and Suno really has to be careful here. I mean, if she commits into mass Hydras but doesn't deal the amount of damage she actually wants to deal, maybe even losing a lot of them, then she will probably just die to the follow-up Sky Toss push. Even her 4 bases, even superior bases, won't matter in that case. So let's see if she will actually hit the timing or not. It's getting later and later. The first 2 carriers will be out in just a few seconds here. I think if I were Koshkii, I would just get out a lot of Adepts more, just in order to help her keep those Hydras back away from the carriers and everything else. Koshkii also wanting to take a 4th base pretty far away, so if Suno actually spots it, she should be able to easily take it out with like a few lings running past. So let's see, yeah, there's a lot of links in production. I think she also wants to have some meat in front of the Hydras for the Adepts to deal. And now there is the timing. Will it be enough? Oh, just focusing down one of the carriers immediately. So only 1 more carrier left, and it's not even really participating inside the main fight. We have some of the Adepts not even fighting as well, but it seems as if Koshkii will just be able to hold everything with a few army units she actually has. Whew, that was actually pretty close here. Could have gone worse if she hadn't been careful. I mean, Koshkii actually wasn't that careful at all. I think she didn't really expect her opponent to hit right at that point once the revelation was off of these Hydras here. So like I said, one of the carriers dying in an instant there, and the rest of the army just barely being able to keep those away. So, seems as if Sunokasuri is not really aware of that base, but was probably already guessing that her opponent would have taken a 4th base by now, so she was just checking just in case, and should actually be able to take this Nexus just down just barely. I mean, more and more reinforcements coming in. Well, now she won't. Just taking a little bit too long here to take out that Adept, so it seems as if Koshkii will actually be able to get the Lings here and keep her Nexus safe. Still, I think she should actually add a few more cannons here in order to help her deal with that. So another big Hydra push just incoming. Suno's just pressing the Hydras like crazy, also getting the Zerg missile attack. She also gets a Spire, which is almost done, and will probably then switch into Corruptors as well. I don't think she wants to go into Mutalisks here, although she actually could. And to some point, actually mass Mutas would be helpful, but only as long as Koshkii realizes what her opponent is doing and starts producing Phoenixes here. So I think that's rather risky. So Suno just trying to deal as much damage as she can with the Hydras, but like I said before, there's only a little timing window where the Hydras alone can just end the game, because they are just able to wipe out the air fleet of Koshkii, but that time window has closed by now. So now she needs to do something against these carriers and Void Rays and more carriers incoming. She produces a lot of Corruptors, hoping that a big engagement with Hydras and Corruptors might be her saving grace. The longer the game goes and the more carriers Koshkii gets out, the less useful this composition actually gets, even with the Corruptors in place. Something that some people actually consider to be kinda helpful would be Fungals and Vipers parasitic bombs. So if you have like a lot of Vipers, and I'm speaking about 7 to 8 Vipers, and then like a few good Fungals that just keep these units close to each other because they clump up like crazy once they move forward, and then you just put 7 to 8 parasitic bombs on it, you can just kill this base. But this is of course the best move that Suno could actually do, just kill it, almost killing 2 carriers before the engagement even starts. But here we now have it, the units on the ground just tearing through the glass cannons that are the Hydras there. No chance for Suno to take this force down with Hydras alone. The few Corruptors just melt to the Void Rays that have just fired up their prismatic alignment, and the rest is getting annihilated by these carriers. And now Koshkii of course knows that Suno has just sacrificed most of her army, is going for the counter push, smells the blood in the water, and will probably just easily tear through her opponent's army 188 to 106. I'm sorry Sunokasuri fans, but there's no chance for our Russian fluffball to get back into that game. GG! And Koshkii shortens the distance to a 1-2. We are on Proxima Station. Spawning to the top right hand corner in teal we have Sunokasuri. And to the bottom left, trying to come back into the series, we have our orange Protoss, Koshkii. Suno picked the map this time around. Proxima Station. I'm rather interested in what she's up to this time around. Last time we saw her play against the Protoss on Proxima Station, she went for a double Overlord drop from the left-hand side and from the right-hand side at the same time. So just crushing both bases from either sides. Let's see if she wants to do this once more or not. I mean, usually if a player picks a map, they have a plan. What they really want to do. But so far there's nothing unusual about Sunokasuri's opening, so we can't really... we can only guess what she's up to. So early Nexus for Koshkii, well, just actually standard gateway opening, but she takes it right after the gateway, not waiting for the kinda safer opening with the cybernetics core here. So in the meantime, Koshkii has already realized that her opponent indeed does have a second base, is not trying to do some sort of one base shenanigans, will now just leave her probe over here patrolling in order to see whether Sunokasuri wants to take a second base or not early on. So in the meantime, she herself is taking another assimilator. We don't see evolution chamber yet. So let's see what Suno actually is up to this time around. Flies in with the Overlord. We'll now see the buildings. And normally just wants to see what the first unit is going to be, although most of the times it's going to be an adept anyways. Oh, it's actually already leaving. Did just only want to see if something is producing in this gateway or not. So Mothership Core is out. Would actually be able to drive away that Overlord if it just came too close, but it didn't. So, Koshkii now realizes that, woo, there's no third base incoming, I better check once more what my opponent is up to. And here we have it, the Evolution Chamber and the Zerglings being produced. Whoa, yeah, Suna actually wants to make really certain that her opponent does not, in fact, see the Evolution Chamber that gets made right in the back. So Koshkii actually is blind, does not know what's going on here, but might actually be kinda suspicious. There's even a second evolution chamber being made right here. That's actually quite interesting here. We have 2 evolution chambers in the making for Sunokasuri. I don't know, this might be a mistake. Maybe she... No, I don't think she actually has the gas and everything in order to go for double upgrades. So I think she just forgot about her first evolution chamber when she looked at her own main base, and so she just planted down another one. But yeah, she has the evolution chambers ready, she's producing Marius Zerglings. She only has 1 Overlord in place though, but it might not even matter since she's already gotten the Overlord speed. So, let's see if she will again just drop from both angles or only from one. I mean, Koshkii sees now that her opponent has speed Overlords. That could kinda tip her off, although in the current metagame it's not too unusual to actually get speed very early on for better scouting. But I mean, Koshkii actually had part of the bits. Or bits of the complete picture, sorry, not part of the bits, but parts of the complete picture. She saw that there was no third base incoming. She saw that her opponent desperately wanted to keep her from scouting, which is just barely something. She also saw the Overlord speed, and now we have some links incoming over the left-hand side. So like I said, I mean, I called it right from the beginning. It's the same build that Sunokasuri did against Piskalida on the very same map. So if she actually paid attention to that void, she should know that something like this could come up. So she sees the Void Ray over here, will now take out 1 Dropalord to the left-hand side. The other 3 Dropalords are now in, so it seems as if Suno never wanted to really do the double-pronged harassment. But she still gets inside the main base, will now drop all of her units, will also try to break through the main entrance here. Will probably be able to do it, unless Koshkii just photon overcharges the pylon over here. Now she does it. This time around, Koshkii has a few more units to work with, but not really that many. Ooh, a lot of Suno's links actually not doing anything right here. It seems as if Suno just realized that she won't be able to deal that much damage, so she now tries to focus on taking down a few more workers inside the mineral line, but actually that push was held quite easily there by Koshkii here. And now she's in a big advantage. Sunokasuri actually sacrificed a lot of her economy in order to do that push. Doesn't even have a third base, is just trying to take it at the same time as the Protoss is. But if we just have a look at the income tab, well, we see that it's already 40 workers to 30 for Koshkii here. Suno, of course, needs to deal some more damage. He is desperately trying to make something happen, at least maybe getting some more links inside, maybe with the help of another Overlord, maybe just trying to take out that base, but it just won't happen. There are 2 pylons over here, and if Koshkii's... Where is it actually? Where's the Mothership Core? Well, it's not too close by. It seems as if she was afraid that another drop might happen. So, woo, that's actually quite a nice thing here. Sunokasuri actually does get the base. Should have really not gotten it. If the Mothership Core had been in place, it would have had enough energy in order to photon overcharge these pylons. No problem to hold it. But unfortunately for Koshkii, all of her units were really out of place. So it seems as if Suno might be preparing another push via the left-hand side, maybe with the help either breaking through this debris, but there's a pylon in play, so Koshkii will always realize what's going on here and should be able to deal some damage. At the meantime, Koshkii just trying to deal some damage herself, flying the Oracle in, but she's in an excellent position right now. 82 to 73, supply is looking pretty nice there. So I don't really know what Suna actually wants to do from here on out. She's just mass droning, trying to play catch up here, but with only 3 bases to the 3 bases of Koshkii, I don't really see it happening. I mean, she could just try to risk something, taking that gold base and taking out these rocks over here, just double expanding, but Koshkii already going into the carrier build once more, trying to do Sky Toss, and I think this time around Suno has no chance whatsoever of hitting some sort of timing window, because she hasn't even teched into anything that can hit air. Except for Queens. So she's just now getting a Spire, but as we've seen before, Corruptors alone just won't do the trick. Mutas will probably also not do the trick, except maybe she just manages to get out like 30 at once, and her opponent is totally oblivious to them, and then she just flies in while the opponent does not have enough carriers up at that point in time. But that's just too many ifs. I mean, this is so totally ridiculous of an idea. It's just not going to happen. So, like I said, Sunokasuri just being way behind will just face a superior army composition in a few minutes. I can't really see her winning this. So let's see what she actually wants to do. I mean, she's fighting for her tournament life, not yet, but overall in this whole series here, she's up 2-1. And of course, that just gets to your nerves if you're up 2-0, and then suddenly you lose your first game, and probably your second game as well. And then suddenly it's a 2-2, and everything depends on that one last game that can really make you freak out and lose your conscience there. So let's see if she will be able to turn this game around. Like I said, 16, 17 Mutalisks at once. We only will have 2 carriers out at that point in time when they hit. We have only Void Rays and carriers then. With a good focus fire, she might be able to take everything out of the sky. Koshkii actually, I think, has no idea. just thinks that these overlords might be dropperlords once more. So let's see. Koshkii actually has no idea that the Spire, which is over here, is actually there. So no vision whatsoever. She doesn't know about it. Yeah, Suno, like I said, I think that's like the only chance she actually has. Because Corruptors just won't do it, and a big enough amount of Mutas, a big Mutaflock that really flies in, catches her off guard, which it just won't do right now, after the Oracle seeing everything and tagging the old army, could actually just turn the tide, but I don't really see it happening right now. I mean, the longer she waits, she needs to hit in a few seconds. The longer she waits, the less probably it's going to work. We have only 1 more carrier in the making, so they will probably, maybe only 2 carriers for now. Not that much NT, there's the 3rd one, and it's close towards the Nexus here. So, photon overcharges also being a problem as well. So let's see what Suno can actually do. She's also producing a few Corruptors here, getting some Queens and not getting everything across the map here. Maybe she just wants to get the Queens into the fight as well, but she will probably not be able to do that. Scouts the 4th base, will try to take it down, but will not be able to this time around. And there's actually the big engagement here. Mutas just flying in, not really focus firing down anything here, just getting annihilated by most of these interceptors there. Yeah, and with the 4th carrier being out, the chance of making anything happen, I mean, it was almost down anyways. So now even Phoenix is being produced. So like I said before, the longer this game goes, no chance. Koshkii again smells the weakness, just walks across the map, will just easily kill off everything here. Corruptors not focus firing anything. They're just trying to take out the interceptors, not succeeding. And that was all of Suno's army. I'm sorry to say, the links on the ground will probably not even suffice to take down the ground forces of Koshkii, let alone the air forces here, because they just can't jump up into the sky. GG, and Koshkii ties the series 2-2. Oh my god, what the fuck, barbecue. Here we are on Belchir Vestige. Definitely the last map of this best of 5, since we're up 2-2 between these 2 awesome players. Spawning to the top left-hand corner in teal, playing Zerg for Hugakati team and Russia, it's Sunokasuri. And to the bottom right, spawning as Orange Protoss, playing for Rival Gaming and the US, it's Koshkii. Going for the early wall-off once more, before taking a base down here. Suno just has to fight off this pesky probe down here before she will finally be able to take that base. Maybe Koshkii even wants to delay that base a little bit more using a pylon here, but she doesn't. Lets Sunokasuri take her base eventually, but has delayed it for quite some time. Actually, that was kind of a nice move here. Koshkii already knew that her opponent usually went for hatchery into gas into pool, so she knew that if she actually managed to plant down a pylon or just trying to delay the base a little bit more with the probe, she would have easily been able to do so. Actually, quite interesting that she didn't want to go for the pylon here. I think I would have just thrown it down just in order to annoy my opponent a little more. Maybe even playing the nerves a little bit more, because it must be a very frustrating and problematic situation for Sunokasuri right now. I mean, we all can probably just feel the pressure when you're up 2-0 and then suddenly lose 2 games in a row, and out of nothing the best of 5 becomes a best of 1. And you're close to maybe losing this series, just embarrassing yourself and all of your fans. And that's a lot of stress. That's just a lot of stress. I mean, the same just kind of applies to Koshkii, because she also knows, yeah, I made it up this far, I managed to get back to 2-2, but I still need to win this one or I'm out. So it's also stressful, but still, I mean, she's on the winning streak. She's on the winning side of things, Koshkii that is. So, but again, I mean, thus far, during the last few games, she couldn't really lose that much. But now, it's again the complete series. Let's see what she will do with it or not. And let's see if Suno again just wants to go for another macro build, or if she wants to overlord drop again like in the first and the fourth game. In the first it worked out quite well, in the fourth not so much. I don't know if she actually just wants to risk it. Gets in with the Zerglings here. We'll probably even get through and get a full scout of what Koshkii is doing. Unfortunately, there's not much to see, only double gas and a pylon here, so nothing that can actually help you to read what your opponent is doing. But the Stargate is already going down, so she's already seen the most important building right in front of the base, knows that her opponent is probably, again, going for some sort of sky build, and this time around Suno just takes a very quick third here. Well, not very quick. Actually, it's kind of a normal third base. But just seeing the other games, this is kind of quick. So let's see. Oracle first once more. Yeah, and then she will probably do the transition into Sky Toss, since it worked out quite nicely for the last 2 games. So never change a winning tactic, I guess. Going from one-trick pony with immortal-based pushes to one-trick pony with Sky Toss. So let's see. No, I'm just kidding, of course. Let's see what she wants to do. Even getting a Twilight Council right behind it, probably in order to get the Adept Glaives, because she might even think of her opponent dropping, and of course she might think that her opponent will just go mass Hydras once more, and if you got out a lot of Adepts on the ground with the Glaives upgrade, these units just tear through Hydras easily, no problem whatsoever. Suno just getting into the lair. Okay, there's the Oracle flying in, dealing just a little damage, getting 1 kill, not all too much, but also getting some scouting off, and now the Void Race right behind it, while Sunokasuri just goes for double evolution chamber and more drones. Because that's just what you want to do. More drones, more drones, more drones. Oracle flying across the map. We'll just get a few more scouting information here. Okay, she doesn't know about the third base yet. We'll probably just fly this Oracle towards the third base and knows about the third right now. So Void Ray already flying to a nice position over to the right hand side, just checking for overlords, because that would actually have been quite a nice overlord position. Also, we usually have overlord positions Somewhere around here is also a good position, and then of course around here is also a typical overlord position. Killing this one off and putting Sunokasuri into a heavy supply block here, so she now needs to morph 3 in a row, and also, or 3 at once actually, and now is also getting the Baneling Nest. Will probably not break through. We have the Hydralisk then already done, so it seems as if Suno just once more wants to hit that timing window before Koshkii manages to get the big amount of carriers out. But like I said before, it's a very crisp timing. There is the window where the Protoss will just not have that many units on the ground and only a few Void Rays and maybe the Oracle in addition. So if you just mass enough Hydras, maybe with a little bit, but maybe with a few Zerglings in order to just keep the Adepts busy for some time so that the Hydras can actually dish out all of their damage from the back, then you will probably be able to just deal with everything. But okay, this time around it seems as if Koshkii just wanted to fake her opponent into believing she would actually go into Sky Toss, but she isn't. She's just going for a full-out assault with mostly Adepts and a Void Ray here. And Suno actually does not have that many units ready for now. She has a lot of Hydras here. She also has the Queens. Let's see if she will be able to just take out these forces. But of course, everything she has is just pretty weak against especially the Adept forces here. And it seems as if Koshkii might just push through with her forces here. Sunokasuri really needs to back up for now. Probably will have to let this second base, this third base over here just die, because she will just not be able to hold it. I think every unit she just moves in will just be sacrificed for nothing here. There's no way she will be able to secure, to save that third base over here. And she even lays out GG's, and Koshkii takes the series 3-2, advancing to the finals.